To learn more about college credits and the benefits of starting college at Lakeland, should call 440-525-7246. Additional resources for veterans can be found at lakelandcc.edu/veterans.
This is DJ Grisman telling you to join Lakeland's Campus Activities Board in the annual Halloween Party and Cavaliers Watch Party, October 30th in the AFC Gym. The kids' party will be 6 to 8 and the adult party is 9 to 11. Free food, drinks, and an amazing time are all included. Activities include DJ, games, photo booth, inflatables, prizes, and more. Admission is free. We look forward to seeing you.
Join Lakeland's Campus Activities Board in the annual Halloween Party and Cavaliers Watch Party, October 30th in the AFC or Gym. The kids' party will be from 6 to 8 p.m. and the adult party 9 to 11 p.m. Free food, drinks, and an amazing time are all included. Activities include a DJ, games, photo booth, inflatables, prizes, and more. And admission is free. We look forward to seeing you there.
Lake Effect Radio!
Hey Lakeland students, pick up the latest issue of the Lakelander student newspaper to stay up to date with what's happening around campus. The Lakelander will keep you informed and entertained with all the latest campus news, music, reviews, political commentary, and everything in between.
Amnesty International LCC presents Nightmare in the Middle East, Tunnel of Oppression, raising awareness for war crimes and civilian abuse. Thursday, October 23rd, from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. in the Auxiliary Gym. Free admission and donations are encouraged. You must be at least 16 or older for admission. Scenes of violence and abuse. Follow Amnesty on their Twitter page at Amnesty Lakeland and their Facebook /Amnesty Lakeland. Office 219.
Business and IT Career Fair, Wednesday, November 5th, 1 to 4 p.m. at Lakeland Community College, Building A, Room A2100. Open to the public. Bring resume, dress professionally, speak with employers, apply for full and part-time jobs, obtain career information, and see who's coming. More information by calling 440-525-7222. List of employers and successful tips at careers.lakelandcc.edu/career fair.
This is Josh Austin from Contacts and Confidence, and you are listening to Lake Effect Radio.
Good morning, Lakeland Community College and everyone listening on live stream. This is the Cleveland Radio Show, and we are joined by some very special guests today, the Monroe Falls Paranormal Society. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. We're happy to be here.
So I guess my first question is, how did you guys start the society?
Well, we started I actually started the team back in right around 2003, 2004. Didn't really get ramped up till around 2006. Mm-hmm. And then from there, it just kind of took off.
What has been your favorite location out of all the ones you visited so far?
Many.
Wow.
Very many.
There's a lot, but we've had to date we've probably done well over 250 cases. Mm-hmm. So I would have to say a private residence that we did in Massillon, Ohio. Mm-hmm. Yes, and also the Akron Civic Theater.
Can you tell us a little bit about those, the evidence you caught, or?
Well, in Massillon, I can't give out private details because it's a restricted case, but we ended up getting quite a few really good EVPs. Mm-hmm. We also ended up getting a lot of experiences that the team, while they're doing the investigation, had objects being moved, doors being opened and closed, just a whole variety of different types of activity that occur.
Mm-hmm. Do you get activity at every location you visit, or are there locations that are dead?
No.
You can go a whole slew of times. You can go on 5 and not get one bit of evidence, and then you get that creme de la creme of a place where it's, you're getting all kinds of evidence. But yeah, there's long stretches where we have nothing. and then we finally get one.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're looking at about probably about maybe 5-10% of the time that you actually get real evidence, because we scrutinize the evidence that we get, because there's a lot of stuff that you can debunk and a lot of stuff that you can just kind of throw out as or explain as natural phenomena.
Do you use orbs as evidence, or are you completely against them?
Absolutely not. If you visit our website and our seminars, you'll see that we are not believers in orbs. First of all, it's an easily explainable phenomena. It's dust, moisture, pollen, and there's a little bit of physics behind it and the type of lens you use in the camera. But orbs, 99.999% of the time, are just dust, pollen, and moisture and stuff like that.
What type of equipment do you use when investigating?
How long do we have?
As long as you need.
It's, all I can say is it's a huge, vast array of equipment. And we don't use every piece of equipment for every investigation. It's really on an as-needed basis. But the main things would be, video recorders, handheld digital video recorders, NVRs, which are network video recorders. We place cameras out around different areas. Audio recorders, different types of meters, such as EMF meters, to help us identify sources of electromagnetic fields. Sound pressure meters, ultrasonic, conversion meters, which allow us to listen to things in the ultrasonic range. We use infrasonic detection for cases that some locations may be under the influence of infrasonics, which are low frequency beyond what we can hear, down into the 8, 10, 15 hertz range. We've got, we can go on and on and on, but that's some of the basic stuff. Stuff for barometric pressure, temperature. We even are utilizing sensor technology now, and some of the manufacturers we're using are new log sensors, and we're integrating these new log sensors into our other equipment that we use for data logging. And we actually log and graph in real time different aspects of the environment, and also sometimes biological activity that a person may be feeling at the time. That could be like heart rate, it could be respiration, it could be a pulse, different things like that, because we want that to be logged and correspond to an experience that someone has, so that we can actually document the effect of the person, environmental changes, and all this, all into one integrated system, which we log in our computer. So what we're doing is really high tech, and it's, like I said, it's very, very hard to explain. We almost have to set up a couple-hour demonstration to show people, but that's kind of an idea of the level that we're getting into now. And this is all a very scientific process, and the reason we do this is because we're trying to be taken as a serious scientific organization, which we are in many cases. We've had some psychologists work with us in the past that I won't mention their names because they want to be anonymous, but they were from a very prominent medical facility in Akron, and they worked with us because they wanted to have access to doing some of the psychological studies that occur during some of these experiences that people have. So we've worked with them. We work with other members of the scientific community to try to, help them pass along data. And, we take this very serious.
So if somebody wanted to get started, how would they go about getting equipment and joining a team?
Well, I would say if you want to start a group, be serious about it. Take the time to learn. Be respectful. But you don't need a lot of equipment to get started, Because equipment, keep in mind, most of the equipment we use is not to detect ghosts. One of the fallacies is people think that an EMF meter is going to detect a ghost. That's just not the case. Most EMF meters are basically they're frequency weighted for 60 hertz. That means they're made for looking at AC line frequencies and identifying electromagnetic field issues that exist within a building or a facility that has a lot of electronics or something to that nature, and that's what they're mainly used for. Although there is times where the magnetic field can fluctuate during some of these events. You may get lucky from time to time and pick something like that up, but anytime you're using any EMF meter to during an investigation, every time you get some kind of a hit on that meter, you can't actually sit there and say, yeah, that's a ghost. That's just not the case. It has to be checked against other data. It has to be checked against experiences. It has to be checked against the environment at the time, other factors that change, barometric pressure, temperature. Also, a lot of times, maybe have it coincide with an EVP at the time. Just an EMF hit doesn't mean necessarily a ghost. Right.
Now, for those people listening, how do EVPs work exactly?
Well, EVP stands for electronic voice phenomena. Okay, and basically it's a voice that is picked up during your session that you're doing at the facility or home or wherever it's at, that imprints a word or a couple of words or even a phrase during that session that you cannot hear until you play back the evidence and you pick up that EVP. It's usually embedded into the white noise, but sometimes they rise above the white noise and they're actually quite. You're able to really hear them quite well. A lot of the EVPs out there are most of the EVPs that are captured are in what we call like a Class C. They're really not really legible. Sometimes, and let me explain these classes real quick of EVPs. It's basically a classification for EVPs that's used not by everybody but some people, and basically a Class A EVP is basically an EVP that can be heard by everybody, and there's no argument to what it says. That means if I play it for 10 people are going to be, yeah, that's what it says. So it's unmistakable what it says. Class B EVPs are usually kind of a mix. If I play it for 10 people, 5 people will hear, yeah, that's what it is. 5 others will go, maybe it's this. A Class C EVP is basically everybody's got their own opinion on what it says, but everybody can pretty much agree that it's a voice, a human voice of some sort. There are classes below C, but we don't use them because they're rubbish. They're literally garbage that shouldn't even be considered. We don't even consider Class C EVPs most of the time, unless it's something that we're trying to really drill down in and find out that there's there's something going on in an area. Most of the ones we deal with are Class A and Class B.
Now, since the Class A is one you can all hear, I know some groups set out recorders other places. Do you try to rule out maybe it's somebody on the street or something, or outside noises too at first?
Absolutely.
Oh yes. We roll that out quite often. That's something that once we do get something that may be an EVP, it's scrutinized. We just don't all of a sudden throw it into the bin that says, hey, it's paranormal. No, that's far from what we do. It gets scrutinized. Excuse me. It gets scrutinized by various members of the group. it gets analyzed. We try to remove some of the background noise and try to.
Yeah, but before you even get to that point, we are going through and actually weeding out whatever there could be as far as contaminants go. I mean, yeah, sometimes there's going to be people walking by or a car that goes by or something that people scream at. Like, there was a party at one place right outside at a residential. There was a party going on where you knew it was a party, but there was things that were going on inside.
Can you get a little closer to the mic, please? Sorry.
Yeah, but you can tell, like, you can kind of break down what's contamination or what's actually going on inside your building. I mean,
And also,
really,
to look back, you also look at the video
right.
recorder, because usually you have a video camera somewhere in that room. So when you're recording, you know, if something shows up on the voice recorder, you're going to, of course, go back on time on the video to see if anything got picked up there.
Right.
If not, you know, then.
Absolutely.
Right.
There's a process.
Yeah, there's definitely a process. And we, for example, we had a fraternity once that we did an investigation in the Kent area, and there was all kinds of partying going on, you know, up and down the street, and that was something that we easily were able to, toss out. But the problem is it does make it more difficult when you do have that background noise when you're doing an EVP session. Now there is some modified equipment that we could utilize for EVP sessions that rule out any kind of stray background noise, and basically they're having the mics removed and just using the electronics as a source of background white noise. And believe it or not, even with the microphones removed, there are times you can still pick up EVPs. So that kind of rules out any kind of sound reinforcement or ambient sound that may be in the background that's causing that. And I know that there's people that may ask the question, well, isn't it radio frequency or radio waves? Yes, in some cases, I believe that you may find contamination from radio frequency, which is being transmitted in the area. But where I debunk that a little bit is I've had over the years EVPs that have called me by name and asked me questions. Okay, asked me questions that I didn't hear till after. One of the examples was at the Akron Civic Theater. I was sitting on the upper balcony and I was doing an EVP session by myself. We were actually had a cameraman with me. This was when we were doing the Mysterious Midwest TV show. And I was sitting there, and the first minute I started recording, I started asking a few basic questions, just, introduction, my name, such and such, like I usually do. And later when I listened to the recording, I ended up getting a female voice that said, "What's your name?" So she was asking me what my name was. And when you hear stuff like that, it's a very slim chance, million, billion to one, that you get a radio frequency, interference induced into your electronics that actually are very specific to that, what's your name, or even saying your name or one of the names of the members in your group. And this happens more so than you think, where we get specific answers to questions, and we can talk about a couple more of those. The
Maslin case.
Maslin case, yeah.
Now, you said you had a show, Mysterious Midwest. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about that, or?
Yeah, we don't do the TV show anymore because of budget cuts, but we did 2 seasons of a television show called Mysterious Midwest. It aired on several cable networks throughout the Midwest and East and South, and I think it was in 14 different states by the time it was into the second season. And then it aired on like Time Warner On Demand channels, and there was a point in time where there was a major network that almost picked us up. It's just when you start getting into that kind of game, it's really hit and miss whether and we weren't expecting that. It was just how it went. We were surprised it actually went as far as it did. But we did that show for, like I said, it made it into the second season, and we had a lot of fun. And we got in, did a lot of different things, and the show Mysterious Midwest can still be seen. It's available, the website mysteriousmidwest.com. It's also available on our YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube and just type in Monroe Falls Paranormal, you'll find our YouTube channel, which has hundreds of videos, evidence, different talk shows we've been on. It also has all the episodes from Mysterious Midwest, and we also have information on our website, which again you can find by Googling Monroe Falls Paranormal Society. And the same with our Facebook page, so there's plenty of sources to get to it.
Now, there was one episode in particular. I was actually at the location before you started filming it on a ghost tour at Farnham Manor. Can you tell us a little bit about that place?
Wow. I want to let Robin talk about that one a little bit.
No. Go ahead. Farnham was great. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It was actually a really interesting place. We had a lot of really awesome things happen on and off camera. Some of the really great things that would go on is when you would actually dress up and just act normal, like just do normal things around the house. We were there a lot, but, we were there all the time in costume or like period clothes or whatever, and we would just all have dinner, and some of the weirdest things would happen. As far as the investigations go, like some of the groups that came through there, I mean, the tours are great. There is something going on there. It's all a matter of when you're there, and
right.
I mean, it doesn't work on your time. It works on its own time. So.
Well, we pretty much, and I stand to be corrected at this, but I think we were pretty much the first in to the Farnham Manor. And we did several investigations there, follow-ups. During some of these investigations, one of them, anybody that's familiar with the Farnham Manor knows the story of Emily. And Emily's the 6-year-old that was John Farnham's daughter. And she died by drowning in the cistern in the kitchen. And at the location where she did drown, we were doing an EVP session, and I don't remember if this was the first investigation or the last, or the second. We ended up capturing an EVP of a little girl that we really believed to be Emily. It was just amazing.
We were singing Ring Around the Rosie and trying to, coax her out to play hide and seek.
Robin and Jennifer, right.
And we're in the kitchen, if I'm not mistaken, and we heard a voice that said, Emily.
In a little girl's voice.
Yes, it was definitely
sweet little girl's voice, very crisp on the recording.
There was no denying.
And it's pretty eerie to hear that. And the way she said it, too, it was like just this little girl that was like, Emily.
That wanted to play. She wanted to come play. So.
One of the coolest things that happened there, and this wasn't even during an investigation, we were just over there visiting, and we had our daughters with us. And it was winter time, and they only heat half the house up because it's so expensive because it's a big house. So we were out front a few minutes before we was going to leave, and Robin and Kathy was by the stairs. And the heat register was right there, so we're all, around the heat register. And where I was standing in the doorway, you could see the kitchen, and the lights were on, so it cast enough light into the hallway there. And I'm standing there, and I feel like a little girl come up to me, and I thought it was my daughter. And I was just like, here, come over here, it's cold. And when I went to put my arm around her, my arm went right through her. And it startled me because I was just like, whoa, and she is gone. And my 2 girls were in the kitchen at the time.
Yeah, we were also there for an investigation, and you guys were all up in the soldiers' room, and I was sitting on the stairs with one of our guests that we had there. They were behind me, And, there was a group of people on the stairs, and we're all observing. Well, there was a series of events that happened that led up to the big shadow figure. I'm sitting on the stairwell, and a big shadow, something that blocked out, there's a door. Whatever it was had to be super tall because it had blocked out the light that was coming through. And within that time, it had enough time to go through the kitchen, whatever this shadow figure was. It had enough time to run through the kitchen and hit the upstairs, like it's going the back way. And then that's when everyone saw this huge shadow figure come into the soldier room. Like it almost, I don't want to say it charged them, but it almost was, yes, everyone saw this, but it was a series of events that led up to that. And not only that is inside the camera, you can't see anything unless you're looking through, the viewfinder thing. Well, that was my only source of light, and it looked literally like something had walked right up to the camera, and enough to throw back the one girl that was sitting behind me. Like, we both kind of jumped back because it went right into our camera. Obviously, we couldn't get any of that, but I don't know what that was, but I'm telling you, that shadow figure was... It started in that hallway at that doorway and almost like charged up through the back room. So we still don't know what that was.
Yeah, and upstairs, the two that were completely taken by this was Tony and Jennifer, which were standing by that doorway. And we actually caught the response on one of our DVR cameras. And even though you can make out something in the background, because they were kind of standing right in the doorway, and they were kind of a little bit blocking the view where the shadow figure entity, whatever you want to call it, ended up appearing up to them. There was a little bit on the DVR that was in the background. If you watch the episode The Farnham Manor, Mysterious Midwest episode, Farnham Manor, that's actually in there, that clip, and their reaction and what happened. Now let me explain why there was guests and other people here. We don't normally take guests and children and such on our investigations. The reason we did so many events there to help them with preservation of this, that these events were driven as fundraisers to help with
the cost of the place to keep up
right.
is super expensive. So I mean.
After some of the initial investigations, these events, that's why when you hear us talking about guests and children and stuff, they were pretty much invited along as guests on these tours and stuff like that.
Normally, there's no kids around. So.
Right, and I wanted to make that clear just so people understood that. But when we do these events. The public, would pay for a ticket to have a tour and a kind of an overnight investigation, and we would conduct that just like we normally would, and help teach these people that answer any questions they have and show them the proper usage of different ways and methods and things like that. And we don't do these all the time because they are time consuming, but in certain events, things like that we do. We do have some possible stuff coming up in Cleveland that we may be doing, a soon to be announced very, very prominent location in Cleveland, which is going to be announced very shortly on our website, and it's exciting. So I think people are going to be like, wow.
You said that you were there. Did you have any experiences? Or, I mean,
I took a lot of pictures. I'm one of those people who. One picture I took of there were two dolls sitting on a chair.
Yes.
The first one was
the two
on the bench.
The porcelain doll
was in color, no problem. I took
Right.
the next one. All the color was drained. It was like in sheer black and white.
Very cool.
I said, "Oh, it's probably just something with my camera." I'm
probably, yeah.
skeptical on everything until.
Anything else? Personal experiences?
I was in the upper floors in the bedrooms, and my sister got it for me for a present. So she said, "Whatever you do, don't bring up Timmy or something." So I brought him up, and all the candles in the room just went out, and it's like.
Did they have like any window? Because they're known for opening their windows even when it's cold.
I didn't see any windows open.
Did you get to meet the owners?
No, I did not. I was more focused on doing the investigation. I've been into this since I was really young, so.
Very cool.
Well, we do have to take a short break, but when we come back, we'll have a lot more questions. This is the Cleveland Radio Show on Lakeland's Lake Effect Radio.
We're listening to Lake Effect Radio. Keep rocking around the clock tower, guys.
The internet is for some becoming an uncontrollable compulsion.
The internet is infected.
Spreading the infection at livestream.com/Lake Effect Radio.
At the Holden University Center of Lakeland Community College, you can earn a bachelor's or graduate degree from our university partners right here in Lake County. Lakeland's Holden University Center. Stay here, go far. Visit lakelandcc.edu/UC.
The Lakeland Veterans Support Program assists veterans, guardsmen, reservists, active duty, and military families to make a smooth and successful transition into Lakeland Community College while supporting success in their educational goals and linking them to veterans and service member benefits. Lakeland awards college credit for military experience. Military veterans who would like to learn more about college credits and the benefits of starting college at Lakeland should call 440-525-7246. Additional resources for veterans can be found at lakelandcc.edu/veterans.
This is DJ Grisman telling you to join Lakeland's Campus Activities Board in the annual Halloween Party and Cavaliers Watch Party, October 30th in the AFC Gym. The kids' party will be 6 to 8 and the adult party is 9 to 11. Free food, drinks, and an amazing time are all included. Activities include DJ, games, photo booth, inflatables, prizes, and more. Admission is free. We look forward to seeing you.
Join Lakeland's Campus Activities Board in the annual Halloween Party and Cavaliers Watch Party, October 30th in the AFC or gym. The kids' party will be from 6 to 8 p.m. and the adult party 9 to 11 p.m. Free food, drinks, and an amazing time are all included. Activities include a DJ, games, photo booth, inflatables, prizes, and more. And admission is free. We look forward to seeing you there.
Lake Effect Radio!
Hey, Lakeland students! Pick up the latest issue of the Lakelander student newspaper to stay up to date with what's happening around campus. The Lakelander will keep you informed and entertained with all the latest campus news, music, reviews, political commentary, and everything in between.
Amnesty International LCC presents Nightmare in the Middle East, Tunnel of Oppression, raising awareness for war crimes and civilian abuse. Thursday, October 23rd, from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. in the Auxiliary Gym. Free admission and donations are encouraged. You must be at least 16 or older for admission. Scenes of violence and abuse. Follow Amnesty on their Twitter page at Amnesty Lakeland and their Facebook /Amnesty Lakeland. Office 219.
Business and IT Career Fair, Wednesday, November 5th, 1 to 4 p.m. at Lakeland Community College, Building A, Room A2100. Open to the public. Bring resume, dress professionally, speak with employers, apply for full and part-time jobs, obtain career information, and see who's coming. More information by calling 440-525-7222. List of employers and successful tips at careers.lakelandcc.edu/career fair.
This is Josh Austin from Contacts and Confidence, and you are listening to Lake Effect Radio.
And we are back. This is the Cleveland Radio Show, and if you are just joining us, we are privileged to have the Monroe Falls Paranormal Society talking about their organization, some of their investigations. During the break, we were talking about some. Can you tell us a little bit about Madison Seminary?
Well, where do we start? Madison Seminary, also known as the Ohio Cottage, was a pretty amazing investigation. There's quite a bit there. Try to break this down, short as I can without getting too long-winded about it. But we had sightings of apparitions. I saw something in the hallway And shortly after that, only seconds later, actually, Scott actually saw it too. We've had, we had some pretty good EVPs there. The facility's got quite a history. Dates back quite a ways. I wish Scott was here. He's our historian. He could give you all the details about it. But, there's been many turnovers of that building, different functions over time. It was a psychological hospital at one time. It actually was a haven for, it was a haven for widows of war, widows of war, which would be able to go there and seek refuge and have housing and stuff like that. So, and there's other things that, over the period of time. I don't know quite the timelines on them all, but anyhow, one of the really interesting EVPs that we captured there was upstairs, and this is supposedly where they held the more violent patients with psychological issues, and we ended up getting a very clear, very eerie, and it can be heard on our website, a woman screaming. And there wasn't anybody in our group screaming. This is something no doubt we would have heard if, it was someone screaming, but we didn't hear it until playing it back. And I was the one that found the EVP. I was going over the evidence. And
I actually heard it.
Yeah.
Remember, I heard something, and I said, it sounded like a woman screaming, and we went to go look, but then we let it go because we didn't know where it was.
Right.
I think we radioed down to see if anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's if you listen to the recording, when I was going over the evidence and I heard it, it was disturbing, because it was a scream of agony. I mean, you can hear the pain and the suffering in the scream, and
not to mention his delayed.
Yeah.
That whole delayed EVP.
Why don't you talk about that, Eric?
Was the wildest thing ever.
We were up in, I guess, the attic part of the seminary, which they also called the ballroom, and there was probably 5 or 6 of us up there doing an EVP session. And, everybody's quiet, and then heard, what was it?
Do you remember what it was saying?
Yeah, I mean, it was a few years ago. It was, Stephanie had made a comment, and she said,
was it "Hey you"?
It was something like that. Yeah. Again, I'd have to listen to it again because this was several years ago. But
when I heard it, I looked around. Nobody else is saying anything. I'm just like, okay, just in case nobody heard it, I'm like, go back 20 seconds and listen to audio. And I said what I thought I heard. And then when they went back on audio,
it was exactly what he heard.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet.
But
at that time.
But the strange thing is, it was after the fact. Okay, now this is not the first time we've had things like this. Okay, we have had on another occasion we had people in our group claim to hear something and make a note on audio, and then 10-15 seconds later you would hear the EVP, which is really odd.
It's like a delayed. It's
almost like that person gets some kind of I'm not going to say precognitive thought about it, but it's almost like they hear it and then it shows up. Now, we don't get that all the time, but we have gotten it a couple different times at a couple different places, which is rather interesting. So, I can't tell you a whole lot more about it until we capture more and be able to study that a little bit more.
We had a question from the online chat. They said, you do anything in winter? Do you have anything going on this winter? Or?
Absolutely, all year round.
The Wars building.
Some of the most memorable cases have been in the winter. Like we had a building which we can't divulge the actual location, but it was one of the largest investigations we ever did, and I can tell you that it was in Massillon, and I can also tell you that it was 7 stories.
Yeah, a freezing cold, like
no
the
heat.
marble floors were ice, like the water was.
The water
dripping down.
lines broke.
We nicknamed this place the Titanic.
Right.
It was
horrible.
that bad.
Like everything hurt on every investigator because you were clenching because you were so cold. We thought there was going to be. We were kind of misinformed about how warm or cold the place was going to be, but we were all freezing.
Well, we were supposed to do some bar, and then that got canceled, and he was just
So
like,
he
well,
threw
hey,
us
I got
into
this place.
and it
Well,
was
we
like
had everybody.
bitter cold.
We had everybody all pretty much ready to go, and then this was kind of something that we were going to do at another time, and then we were like, okay, well, we can fit you in, and they're like, cool. So we ended up doing that, and
It was horrible.
wow,
It was like minus 15 in the building.
Right.
I'm telling you, I remember at one point 3:30 in the morning, there was me and Sean and Stephanie and I forget who else was with us. We were up on the
In the hallway, yeah.
up on the 4th floor, and if you look at the video and the pictures from us, we were just all huddled up in a corner, laying on the floor,
Rigor mortis.
trying to conduct an EVP session, just looking at each other with a daze.
Yeah,
like,
you're digging out of your trunks to find socks or extra layers of anything you could find, wrapping yourself up with socks.
I mean, yeah, we had like Sarah had to use duct tape over top of a sock, and she had that wrapped around her nose and face.
It was cold.
But we'll do it. I'm not saying that we're gonna like it.
Moundsville was pretty bad too.
Yeah, but so yes, to answer your question, sorry to drag it on, but yeah, we have done some pretty crazy stuff in the winter.
Now, do hauntings, are they more prominent at different seasons, or is it hit and miss? It could have...
Not really. We see... No, it happens all year round. But we actually see people report it more during this time of the year because I think the awareness is a little bit more heightened during this time of the year. With the Halloween holidays, and also people coming in from summer, all the activity, and then getting indoors. They actually see that they hear and see more. Even though the stuff's occurring all summer and spring, everything, they're really not indoors much. They're outdoors, traveling, doing this, doing that. But then when winter hits, and the doors start closing and the heat comes on, and that introduces a whole bunch of new possibilities that we can debunk too. Where winter comes along and the heat comes on and pipes start making noise and houses start creaking because of the temperature changes. And, we get busier this time of the year because people, every time they hear a bump in the night or they hear a noise, they got a ghost. That's not the case. You don't know how many places we've debunked because of that. And I would say that a really good estimate, I used to say, is about 9 times out of 10. Yeah. Possibly certain times 8 times out of 10, but 8 to 9 times out of 10 we can debunk most places and come up with logical explanations. But it's that small 10%, 5% that we really cannot explain, and the more you get into it, the more you see that it could actually be a real paranormal event. And then there's times where you get the gold standard, where something happens and it's pretty much in your face and you're like, oh wow, you just
and then you forget about those 8.
Yeah, you forget about those other 8 times you sat there bored out of your mind going, okay,
Can you tell us a little bit about the Ohio Reformatory and just a little bit about your investigation?
Mansfield. Great place. We spent I don't know, we were probably there for 24 hours at least. We arrived there earlier in the day. Actually, we shot an episode of Mysterious Midwest there. That was one of our episodes. And we arrived there earlier in the day and probably didn't leave till morning. I think the sun was coming up when we left. Yeah. So it was a long... It was like like Zach always says, it was a lockdown. You know, it was all night from dusk to dawn. But anyhow, experiences. Well, I had one really interesting experience, and I'm going to disclaim what I'm going to say because this is not normal practice. I did some pretty heavy provoking in death row. I don't recommend anybody do that, especially if you're not, someone that knows what you're doing. If you haven't been doing this for many years and you're just getting into it, it's not good practice to provoke, especially if you're going to be handling residential cases. Because if you provoke at someone's house just to get a response because you think,
to leave, they don't.
Yeah, we get to leave, they don't. They have to deal with the headache that you created if there's really something going on. So I was in death row, and I was in one of the cells, and Scott was with me. And the cameraman was on Scott. He did pan over to me when it happened, but he only caught, the tail end of what happened to me. But I was provoking, and I got a response all right. I actually got shoved up against the bars. And it was the first time I ever got shoved like that. And it felt like a wall had just hit me from head to foot on the back. It wasn't like, you would think, you feel hands or anything. It wasn't like that. It was like a wall hit me from head to foot. Like if a wall were to eject outward and push up against you. And it pushed me into the bars. And luckily, as soon as I got, I felt that push, reaction was to get my hand up because I didn't want to hit my face into the bars, and it hit, got my arm. And then when one of the camera guys panned around, he actually saw, me sitting there going, I think I just got shoved. And it actually didn't scare me. It actually got me a little bit more pumped up. So I started calling it out. I said, what are you, a chicken, what? I don't want to say the word on your radio here.
Yeah, a lot of words you can't say.
But I was a little bit angry. I was like, you shoved me from behind. What kind of, But I again, that's not normal practice for us. That was a very specialized circumstance, and I've been doing this for years, so I wouldn't recommend that at all. But we actually got a few EVPs, some interesting photographs there, and all around we can go on for a whole hour of experiences there.
Well, down there too, felt like something grabbed my ankle.
What about when you were?
Yeah, this was actually after we got done doing the episode, and we had to gather all the equipment and roll up the cords and everything, and I was up on the top tier of the cell, and I needed a knife to cut the zip ties for the cords. So Sean and Robin was down there, and I was like, hey, can you guys bring me up a knife? So I'm up on the top. Majority of the deaths over at the prison was from when people were going back to their cells. The rails were only so high, and people would push them right off. So they had a yellow rope about 2 feet above the top rail. For during tours, people would see it. And, I had my chin and arms crossed looking down on the ground floor, and I felt the rope come down on the top of my head hard enough that it turned my head to the side. And I thought it was one of the, fellow investigators, coming up on me and trying to freak me out. I was just like, I turned around and I was like, what the? And then nobody was there, so then I was just like, yeah, I'm going to sit right here and wait until somebody comes up.
Yep, and down one of the hallways early in the investigation, both Scott and I saw a very fast-moving shadow figure on the second floor balcony, on one of those balconies. It actually started, it almost looked like it came out of one of the cells, and just right down the hallway. And at the speed it was traveling was...
That was on the second or third, wasn't it?
On the second, yeah. Much faster than you would normally see someone walking. It was really kind of weird. But it was just like a hazy, dark blob that just, came out. And we both saw it. We were both like, did you see that? Is it? Yeah.
Now there's the chair room there. Did you have any experiences in there? Or did you even investigate that room?
The chair room, We were all over in that place. Actually, we had exclusive access. Okay. We're not allowed to talk about that? Okay. Sorry, Robin said we're not allowed to talk about that. We had access to areas that no one gets access to. And let's say that it was eerie and very interesting and educational at the same time. Learned a lot
I learned a lot I did not know about.
Yeah, a lot that probably didn't want to know about.
Right, yeah.
So, sorry, but yeah, as soon as I went to say that, Robin, can't talk about that.
The only reason I asked was I was on a tour over the summer, and they had the chair room where if you close the door, the chairs move, and I felt something in there that didn't want me in there. So,
the chair room. I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
Old Sparky, the
no.
The round room with no windows in it.
Remember
the gas chamber
and Mansfield.
The first time we were there,
Oh, okay, yeah.
That room.
Yeah, nothing happened.
Yeah.
Again, we were in so many areas throughout that period in there that it was
mammoth.
It was mammoth. So we try to cover the best we can, but it's very hard to cover every square inch of these places. They just, both technology-wise and everything. I mean, you would need 60 cameras. And it'd take you 3 days to set all that crap up,
right.
And it wouldn't be worth a 24-hour investigation at that point. You'd have to stay there for days or weeks. I'd love to do an experiment like that one time. Set up an experiment where you camp out for 3 or 4 days for a whole week.
Sleep there
and everything like that, and then have 40, 50 cameras running. I'd be willing to do all that.
I'd do that.
So, if anybody out there wants to do that, let me know. I'd definitely be willing to do that, but it would take some planning, and obviously we'd have to get the right approval for something like that. But that would be the ultimate, because a lot of times you go in and you only have limited time, even though you're there 15, 20 hours, sometimes 24 hours. That's a limited amount of time, considering that activity doesn't happen on cue. So
that day you may not get anything. That night you may get, after you leave, it may spark all up. So.
Exactly. So it really all depends.
Do you ever worry about being possessed after any of these?
No, not at all.
Possession is an extremely rare phenomena, and even some of the more notable cases in the past, like what the movie The Exorcist was based off of, wasn't actually a girl, it was a boy. And a lot of the current cases of possession actually can be explained as psychological problems and different types of rare neural diseases and things like that. So can it happen? Yeah, I would say that it could, but it has to be someone that invites it and is willing and practices, something that, opens them up to something like that.
And then apparently they don't know what they're doing.
And apparently, yeah, and they really don't know what they're doing. And a lot of times, it's not even possession in the realm of what you would see on television and such like that. It's sometimes just altered mood states and things like that. Although there was one notable case recently, a year or two back, a couple years back, where there was psychologists and other people monitoring this case of supposed possession, and apparently, and I'm going to say apparently because I couldn't find any proof that this happened, but apparently this person levitated off the bed or something like that, several inches. I've never seen that. I'm not quite sure I believe that is possible.
Would love to see it, but
I mean, if someone claims that that's happening, give us a call. We'll come over and watch it. We'll monitor it. We'll
clap.
But to be honest with you, I don't think that you have to worry about anything like that. The worst thing we see is people end up playing with Ouija boards and playing with things that they're just interested in. They're young, they don't understand what they're talking about, and they end up opening a door and Opening a door meaning they open up some kind of a doorway to an entity that comes in and wreaks havoc in their life. And usually they get scared and things start happening around their house, and other family members are like, what's going on? And it upsets their life. That's what we see most with these kind of things.
What are some hazards you do have to worry about on the job?
Tripping.
The list goes on.
Your head. Tripping.
Freezing your proverbial, what off. Tripping. We've
you
been
end up with a lot of bruises.
Yeah,
By the end of the
I at Prospect
Smacking
Place.
your head.
At Prospect Place, I walked full steam into a split barn door. The bottom was open, but the top was not. And it was just enough to clip my forehead.
You're going to talk about Bob.
About knocked me silly. Eric was laughing. I mean, I don't blame him.
That's when I was standing
funny.
up on those boxes and I was laughing so hard I almost fell off those.
You have to bring up Bob.
But everybody heard it. It was like it was
Boing,
like
boing, boing.
so loud, and I had to go back to tech, sit there for a while, get my head straight. I mean, I walked full bore into it. But anyhow, yeah, you got tripping, you've got electrocution, glass doors. At the end of an investigation on one of the private residences, Bob. I'm sorry, but it made the evening, and Bob even laughed afterwards. He wasn't hurt, but we were just finishing packing up, and it was probably like 4 a.m, and everybody gets tired, around that time. And they had where we set up tech. They had this porch area, and they had a glass door. It was a solid glass door,
the cleanest glass
door you ever saw, and the door was closed. And I said, "Hey, Bob," I said, "why don't you go, take a look around and make sure we didn't leave anything behind." And all of a sudden you hear, and I saw it straight on. I was looking right at him. And all of a sudden he just full steam starts walking, and bam, he hit the glass door, went back 2 or 3 steps, fell onto his butt, and his feet flew up straight up in the air and did like a barrel roll on his back. It was, to us, it looked like it was all in slow motion, and it was so damn funny. I mean, I was rolling, Stephanie was rolling, we laughed the whole way home. I mean, he wasn't hurt. At first we were like, laughing, but trying to hold it back because we weren't laughing, he was hurt, And we're like, "You okay?" And he's like, yeah, he's fine. He got up and shook it off. And after that, it made the evening. And
glass doors of danger.
Yeah, so, and again, we don't laugh at all that stuff, but that one was actually pretty funny.
Old basements are dangerous too because they got the low ceilings.
Older houses, especially century homes, have short basements. Everybody must have been really little back then.
Right.
Burton was horrible.
Because the
with their
basements, you have to...
I smacked my head.
I mean, I'm 6. I'm a tall guy. I'm a big guy, all right? And, I'm like a little over 6 foot. And, when we get into those basements, you're like hunched down trying to walk around in there because, I think the ceiling heights are... They're only about 5.5, 6 foot at best, and it's just you can't.
Then you don't factor in the duct work, so
and
as
all
you're
the other
walking,
stuff
you're
like
smack.
That. So
doing a face plant.
I'm not sure. Everybody must have been smaller back then or something.
Right. Now you brought up Burton. Are you talking about Century Village or was it a private residence?
No, it was Century Village.
Did you get any evidence there?
Well, it is more of just the ghost walk that they have, and we just set up.
Sometimes things.
Well, the door's shut.
Blur.
We didn't get a whole lot there, but
yeah, that door shut. Yeah.
But the Century Village we did there, we actually did two separate
one was
investigations / tours there to help them out, and. It was pretty cool to have exclusive access to some of those buildings, and but unfortunately we just didn't get a whole lot there. I don't know. The stories are hit and miss. Some of them can be explained off and stuff like that. So
you brought up Prospect Place earlier. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Prospect Place. Prospect Place was our basically. Our investigation from hell. It was probably almost every single person was injured that night, some way or somehow. Equipment was being damaged. It was, at one point we were like, either they don't want us here or this is just the worst luck we've ever had, because it was just one thing after another.
There was a lot of personal experiences.
A lot of personal experience, although there was one that was very interesting. At one point, and again, we can't quite explain how the front door slammed shut. It was towards the end of the night, but this is right at Tech, where Tech was set up in the front living room next to the front door because we wanted to investigate the rest of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And it was dead calm that night. There was no wind. Okay. Now I know that a breeze can cause this, but this door was heavy. Okay.
Yeah, it was about a 10, 11 foot door?
Yeah.
I mean,
very, very large door. And at one point, what was interesting, what everybody at Tech, there was like 3 people at Tech that saw this. They saw a green glowing, and I'm not even going to use the word orb because we are completely, this is completely different. A green glowing blob of something. Okay, I know it sounds very, Ghostbuster-like, but they described it as a greenish color. And they saw this, so it wasn't recorded on a camera, okay? Because if you see something like that with your eye, then it's kind of hard to say, well, it was an anomaly with the lens and the flash and things like that.
Mhm.
So they saw it all at Tech, and they were just like, what the? And by the time they saw this thing, it went out the front door. And right as it went out the front door, the back door just completely slammed behind it in a violent manner, which everybody investigating was like, what the
Yeah, you could hear it
heck
throughout
just-
the entire house.
What the heck happened? So everybody came back. We thought
rumbled the house.
we thought there was some kind of a very, very, a bad accident that happened because it shook the
George,
house.
the owner, didn't even come out. He was probably like, "Oh, that's normal for me."
So
he didn't come out.
we don't know what that was. We can't explain it. But being right there at Tech, we didn't have a freaking camera. So we try to monitor Tech now because we've had several instances where we've got activity that happens right at our Tech location, and we don't normally monitor that. So we're going to be monitoring Tech a little bit more often too.
Also, we had the incident in the ballroom.
Mhm.
The I don't know if I can say it. The portal to, as Zach would dub it.
It's not up there,
Anyway,
so you could say it.
Okay, the portal to hell. It is not the portal to hell.
No.
I love Zach, but it's not. Anyway, it's a U-shaped room that they called the ballroom, which was the attic, and it had the stairwell right through the center of it. We had probably 4 or 5 investigators sitting up there, and this was towards the end of the night. Everything's winding down. We just wanted to go and observe. I think you were at Tech, Eric, but I think the other Eric was upstairs. We're all sitting in
you,
one
me,
corner,
Sarah, Jen.
and we're watching,
And
the
Sean.
far corner to the right to see if anything would happen. We had a little ball up there because there's supposed to be a little girl up in the attic. Well, we're sitting there, 40 some minutes goes by with nothing, and we're exhausted because we're just about to wrap it up. And all of a sudden, this shadow peeks around the corner where it actually cast its own shadow on the wall. So whatever it was, there was no one over there. No one could get over to that corner because we're sitting right in the only way you could get in. So this shadow peeks around. Obviously, we're all like, wow, we go and run over to see what it was, and there's nothing there. So we're like, well, let's just calm down and we'll sit and we'll watch it again and see if it comes back. Another 45 minutes later
Yeah,
goes.
that first time was when you, Jen, and
Right, we
up there.
obviously ran over to see what was there. So we all sit back down, and Scott and Eric and all them were up there, or Sean, I'm sorry. We're sitting there, 45 minutes goes by, and this thing peeks around the corner, but it's almost kneeling. It's much lower, and it keeps bobbing back and forth from that corner, and I'm like, is everybody seeing this? Everyone clearly agreed that we saw what we saw, but obviously the camera,
the
it was
DVR
too
actually
grainy
picked something up, so but it's
use
too
as
green.
evidence.
I mean,
Yeah.
I was willing to bet my entire paycheck
You did
that we
bet
caught it. Yeah.
But yeah, it was so grainy we could not
Sometimes you can pick it up, and sometimes it's not, very legible, because again, when you see some of these things, they're not completely solid like you and I.
Mhm.
They're obviously, light can
Yeah, it was
pass
a
through a
dark
little
figure,
bit.
right.
Usually, usually it's the case where the camera sometimes will pick it up, sometimes won't. So
that place is amazing, though. I highly recommend it.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
But we do have to take another quick break, but we will be right back.
You were listening to Lake Effect Radio. Keep rocking around the clock tower, guys.
The internet is for some becoming an uncontrollable compulsion.
The internet is infected. Spreading the infection at livestream.com/Lake Effect Radio.
At the Holden University Center of Lakeland Community College, you can earn a bachelor's or graduate degree from our university partners right here in Lake County. Lakeland's Holden University Center. Stay here, go far. Visit lakelandcc.edu/UC.
The Lakeland Veterans Support Program assists veterans, guardsmen, reservists, active duty, and military families to make a smooth and successful transition into Lakeland Community College while supporting success in their educational goals and linking them to veterans and service member benefits. Lakeland awards college credit for military experience. Military veterans who would like to learn more about college credits and the benefits of starting college at Lakeland should call 440-525-7246. Additional resources for veterans can be found at lakelandcc.edu/veterans.
This is DJ Grisman telling you to join Lakeland's Campus Activities Board in the annual Halloween Party and Cavaliers Watch Party, October 30th in the AFC Gym. The kids' party will be 6 to 8 and the adult party is 9 to 11. Free food, drinks, and an amazing time are all included. Activities include DJ, games, photo booth, inflatables, prizes, and more. Admission is free. We look forward to seeing you.
Join Lakeland's Campus Activities Board in the annual Halloween Party and Cavaliers Watch Party, October 30th in the AFC or gym. The kids' party will be from 6 to 8 p.m. and the adult party 9 to 11 p.m. Free food, drinks, and an amazing time are all included. Activities include a DJ, games, photo booth, inflatables, prizes, and more. And admission is free. We look forward to seeing you there.
Lake Effect Radio!
Hey, Lakeland students! Pick up the latest issue of the Lakelander student newspaper to stay up to date with what's happening around campus. The Lakelander will keep you informed and entertained with all the latest campus news, music, reviews, political commentary, and everything in between.
Amnesty International LCC presents Nightmare in the Middle East, Tunnel of Oppression, raising awareness for war crimes and civilian abuse. Thursday, October 23rd, from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. in the auxiliary gym. Free admission and donations are encouraged. You must be at least 16 or older for admission. Scenes of violence and abuse. Follow Amnesty on their Twitter page at Amnesty Lakeland and their Facebook /Amnesty Lakeland. Office 219.
Business and IT Career Fair, Wednesday, November 5th, 1 to 4 p.m. at Lakeland Community College, Building A, Room A2100. Open to the public. Bring resume, dress professionally, speak with employers, apply for full and part-time jobs, obtain career information, and see who's coming. More information by calling 440-525-7222. List of employers and successful tips at careers.lakelandcc.edu/career fair.
This is Josh Austin from Contacts and Confidence, and you are listening to Lake Effect Radio.
And we are back. So during the break, we were talking a little bit more about Madison Seminary, and I'm going to have to ask on the air, can you tell us about the doll room?
The doll room. Yeah, if anybody's ever been to the Madison Seminary, I don't know if they still have it there, but they had this lifelike 3-foot doll standing in the closet in one of the rooms. And we like to do a quick walkthrough before we do an investigation. Wasn't expecting that. I come walking into that room and I glance to my right and it scared the bleep out of me, man. I mean, I turn a corner and there's this creepy looking 3-foot lifelike doll standing in the closet. I jumped. I was like, what the? I was like, oh man. Everybody's laughing because they knew it was there. They didn't tell me about it. And
I think it got everybody though that
I think it got everybody that got in there except for Scott. I think when he saw it, he's like, oh well, He's like that anyhow.
Right.
I mean, I mean, you could have an apparition sit down right next to him, and he'd just turn his head and go, "Hey, how's it going, man?" he's got to be the most unresponsive person when it comes to this stuff, but that's great. You know, more power
somebody
to
get the camera over here. There's an apparition.
But yeah, he's really cool with that. But anyhow, yeah, Madison, that
and the doll room is the same room that he fell on.
Oh yeah, yeah. He sat down in one of those barber chairs. I don't know what are those things called, but they're like they had these chairs sitting in there, and they had little cylinder stands on them, and they were obviously bolted to the ground at one time. And not this time. They were all just sitting in there. So we got in that room to start our EVP session, and he sat down in that chair and just kept going, and he went back and flipped up.
But he did it so
he did it so gracefully. And then when he got up like nothing happened and sat right back down on it. And Jessica and I were just like, "Are you all right?" And he's like, "Yeah, there's no problem."
Tell him about the stairs.
That wasn't there. That was
no, it wasn't. But it's still up there in Madison, wasn't it?
It was actually out in Geneva.
Okay.
And we were at a private residence, and the stairs.
In his defense,
the stairs were funky.
Like tiny. There was no. I mean, a man in his shoes. You're like hanging half off these stairs. They were so tiny. They weren't even.
So
right.
they were carpeted and everything like that, but he was coming down the stairs, and
he came down all right.
And I don't know, he lost his footing or something like that. Went down on his butt, and he came bump by bump on his butt all the way to the bottom, and it was like we just sat there and watched it. And he's just like bump 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 all the way. All the way down, and again got up all gracefully, like
bleeding from both his arms. Don't forget
he got the carpet burns on his arms, but he got up like it was no biggie, like yeah.
See, this stuff's dangerous. In all honesty, it's dangerous.
We're laughing about it now, but yeah, you got to keep in mind that there are dangers everywhere when you're doing this stuff.
Right.
So you don't mess around. We take things serious. I mean, even though we're laughing about it now,
during an investigation, it's all business.
It's all business, and
but there's things that go awry that you just it's natural for things to go wrong.
And we take very, very good precautions with these things. We'll survey a site first, find the danger areas, mask them off. Mm-hmm. One of the areas, going back to Mansfield, that Scott and I were doing was in the basement area. And again, this is not the area we're going to talk about. It's a different area. And we came around the corner down this one area, and it was all damp and musty down there. And turned the corner, and I couldn't believe what I saw. I've never seen anything like this in my life. There was several rooms, and every room, floors, walls, ceilings were covered with a thick white mold. In some areas, it must have been 6 or 7 inches thick. And it was so bad that you can smell the spores. I mean, you can actually know that you were inhaling the spores from this, and it was like, we were like, at this point, the cellar, this whole basement area is off limits to the rest of the crew. So we went back and we told people, this area is off limits, you're not going in this area. Just pretty scary. I mean, I've never seen anything like that before. It was just crazy. It was like something out of an alien movie. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was just...
What you may want to say to people starting out, too, is don't go into old abandoned buildings.
Always get permission is the big...
Because, I mean, a floor could cave in, you get yourself killed, or, the owner or a cop could stop by and, no.
What I would say is, general rules are be respectful, do your homework, do your research, learn about how to use your instruments if you're going to take up instruments, okay? One of my biggest pet peeves about people, you see it on the ghost shows all the time on television, where you see someone has an EMF meter, and they get a spike on the EMF meter, and they're yelling out, I got a 2, I got a 3, okay? And I shake my head, I go, do you even know what unit of measurement you're talking about? Do you even know what that 3 is? You know, and a lot of times these people have no idea. They're just actually going with, I got a 2, I got a 3.
They don't give them time. You have to have.
They don't give them time. They don't, you know, everything. You know, pictures. My biggest complaint is orbs. Orbs are not ghosts. All right, I'll probably get hate mail over this. I always do. Okay, I get hate mail all the time over this. Okay, someone sends me a picture. I say, that's just dust.
It's hard to say they're orbs when you're like just saying Mansfield Prison.
Mm-hmm.
There's dust everywhere. You know, and then just like, oh my God, it's a whole clan of ghosts.
I mean, we see it. We have thousands of pictures with orbs in it, and I can create them here. I can create them at home.
Or when you're smoking a cigarette, somebody's filming and smoking.
Right.
Oh,
or you're outdoors,
right.
And you know you've got breath, which you can't see in the dark. But if you've got a camera with an infrared, you're going to have reflection off of the moisture particles, and it's going to look as like a white misty cloud. And even small little, bits of that cloud that drifts in front of the camera is going to reflect the IR light, and you're going to end up saying, oh, that's, So, and go on and on and on about this, okay? That, you can't take everything that you get on video and pictures at face value, okay? And then you need to, be cordial, get permission. Don't just, jump into some place and trespass on private property. We actually don't seek stuff out usually. People seek us out.
Mm-hmm.
Early on in my career, even before I started the group, I got into, when I was really young, I got into seeking out locations, and, I started really doing this stuff back in around 1982. And so I've been doing this for a while, not professionally.
Mm-hmm.
We've only been doing it professionally over, the past decade or so, probably the past decade. But I would say, just do your homework. And one of the things you don't want to do is don't look at the ghost shows on television and follow after them, because it's going to give you bad practice. I mean, that's drama. That's meant to entertain. All right? There's not tons of stuff happening like that,
Mm-hmm.
You see, and, no offense to the guys at GAC, but, you see them go on an EVP binge where they're getting EVPs every 20 seconds, and they end up getting like 600 EVPs in a night or something like that. That just don't happen. If you listen to a lot of those EVPs, they're just background noise that's, it's called audio matrixing.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually hear things if it's too far embedded into the white noise. If you just listen to white noise, put a set of headphones on, listen to white noise, you can actually imagine someone's talking to you after a while. That's called audio matrixing.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a visual phenomenon called pareidolia. Pareidolia is basically what we see, puppy dogs in the clouds in the sky, and you look at abstract art and you see dragons and you see, other things. That's because our mind, the way the human brain works is we try to make sense of shapes
Mm-hmm.
that we can't recognize, and we try to, in our mind, create things that are understandable to us. So you could see faces and, and puppy dogs and things like that. And that happens with images. People take a picture, it's all blurry, it's got a lot of noise in it, and they take a picture and a reflection in a mirror, and then they see some shadowing in there, and before you know it, they, in their mind, say, I see a soldier.
Jesus on a piece of toast.
Jesus on a piece of toast, or something like that. It's all pareidolia.
Now, if people believe their house is haunted, can they contact you? And if so, how would they do that to set up a consultation?
Absolutely. They can contact us through our website, and I can give the website name out. It's you can also search on Google. It's easier to find it on Google, but it's Monroe-Falls-Paranormal-Society.com, and it's a long URL, but it's much easier just to go to Google and type in Monroe Falls Paranormal Society. If you type that into Google, we're the first hit right at the top of the page. And that's what I tell everybody, that's the best way to find us. Because from there, you could search for us on Facebook. You could also search for us on YouTube and find our YouTube channel. So we pretty much have presence, on most of the media outlets out there. And yeah, we'd be glad to take calls. We take questions. People submit pictures to us, and sometimes they're pretty fascinating. Sometimes they're just general stuff. But don't be discouraged if you do submit something to us, and we, analyze it and say, it's this or that. I mean, I had some lady once that sent me a picture, and she swore it was a gargoyle. I swore up and down it was a gargoyle, and it was nothing but just a reflection in a mirror she took. And it was the shutter speed was open for like a second, so then she was moving the camera, so you ended up with a long shutter exposure, and it was blurred, and it just to her looked like a gargoyle. And I said, there's no gargoyle there. It's just an open shutter. You could look at the EXIF data on the photo, and you can tell, the settings of the camera at the time. And so I wrote back to her, and I said, I'm sorry, this is what it is. The shutter speed on your camera, blah, blah, blah. She sent me hate mail back. She goes, you don't know what you're talking about. It's a gargoyle. And I said, okay. She goes, I'm going to submit this to TAPS, and they'll tell me. And I said, by all means do. And when you do, can you send me their response? And I never heard anything back. Because obviously, they probably looked at it and said, it ain't nothing.
Now, I know you said you don't seek out paranormal experiences, but if there could be one famous haunted location you could investigate, what would it be and why?
Heart Island.
Yep.
Oh, Heart Island.
In New York.
Yes. Or Pavaglia.
Yeah.
Pavaglia Island.
Well, obviously, where I would ultimately like would be Frankenstein's Castle, but that's in Romania, and
a little expensive.
A little expensive. If someone wants to pay for that trip, we'll film a documentary there and do it. That's fine. But at this point, no. But I would say the the other on my list would be Heart Island.
Oh yeah,
that's in New York.
Fantastic.
So,
can you tell us a little bit about that? I've never even heard of Heart Island.
It's the biggest cemetery in the world.
Or dumping site, if that's what you want to call it.
Unnamed people, prisoners, immigrants with no. Just over the years, it's been used for just a massive cemetery. Some people believe that the mafia or organized crime did a lot of work there. Ditched a lot of their bodies there. There's all kinds of.
There's buildings all over the place. The island's pretty decent size, So.
But it was mainly used during wartime and during the 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s. I think even back probably into the 20s too, as a burial site for. Just people that had no name, no family, no anything like that. So you can imagine, the energy that must exist there, and the history. It goes far beyond just what we talked about there too. And problem is you can't get there. It's under guard. It's
the only people that go there are the guards and prisoners,
and people that maintain it and stuff like that. And we had discussions with the administrative people a while back about, but we ended up getting a denial on that, and it actually came from higher up. So I don't know if that's ever going to be something that anybody really gets in there to investigate or not. But
a lot of people are trying, but it's not happening.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're going to wrap it up. Thank you guys for coming in and doing the interview. It was nice having you.
Yeah, we're glad to be here.
And thank you everyone for listening. This has been the Cleveland Radio Show on Lakeland's Lake Effect Radio.
You were listening to Lake Effect Radio. Keep rocking around the clock tower, guys.
The internet is for some becoming an uncontrollable compulsion.
The internet is infected. Spreading the infection at livestream.com.